It's great to able to rewatch those films again, especially for TV shows at one point, and especially concerning for the fact that not only I can able to rewatch those movies again, not just because of the forms of my nostalgia, but also how fun they were, and even especially noticeable how amazing the presentation is. And not only that, I enjoy listening to certain songs and even sing along songs every once in a while. For it's my singing skills might be not exactly the most efficiency, but regardless of such though, I always attempt able to boot those films up either on the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, or Xbox 360 or Xbox One for not only for its DVD format, but also with the Blu-ray releases as well for its glorious, outstanding HD quality. Even though I was expecting to able to try and able to get the 4K game system, but probably not gonna happen on anytime soon. So, oh, oh, I was not expecting to see you guys again. Especially after the events of 2 days ago, we did somehow manage to able to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Mario Party series. So at least I'm back once again, but with a completely different collection video this time. So hello, what is up ladies and gentlemen? It is I am the one and only Maxi here once again. And I am of course back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. And this time we're about to be able to present to you guys my different collection video this time around. Because normally we'd always attempt to do game collections ranging from Nintendo consoles and also with Sega games, as well as Sega consoles, Xbox consoles, and you name the rest of it though. So, what I figured, since no matter what though, we are very close towards the end, almost anyway, for 2023, and it's especially noticeable because concerning for the fact that we've only got 5 days to go until Christmas is approaching. So today, for the special topic at this point, we are about to be doing, I've been doing this for a long time, especially concerning for the fact that I've seen a lot of collections like this before, and those collections are really great for the most part. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I am doing my DVD slash Blu-ray collection. Yes, it's been a long time coming since I was going to be planning to do this, especially I was potentially originally trying to do that back in last year, but it didn't happen, or just the past few years ago, but I just couldn't be bothered to do it, mainly because, well, the collection is a bit small back then, but years went on since in present day actually, is that potentially speaking though, I'm about able to do this anyway, because although I was expecting originally, I was expecting to try to do a yet another Let's Play, but recently that Tiana, she's already working on Kirby's Dream Collection now for its challenge stages, or specifically new challenge stages mode for the majority of the playthrough, so I figure I was able to be in charge for the next collection video, and this time, of course, the one I was going to be mentioning about is, of course, my DVD collection, and there's quite a lot to go through. Yeah, with that being said though, in terms of my collection at the moment, for my DVD slash Blu-ray collection for the sake of time, I've pretty much almost covered every single shelvings on the far left, if you can tell. Like, I've got some of these films from different categories, ranging from Disney animated films and also direct to movie sequels from Disney, and some live action stuff here and there as well, and as well as Disney Pixar ones, DreamWorks, and the Brony side of things for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and also James Bond movie collection, and all the other compilations I could probably think about it. So, yeah, with that being said though, let's dive right into, of course, to my glorious DVD collection video. So because of that, I'm not exactly sure how long this will take. Well, I suppose we'll have to able to find out and see what happens. But if we don't get enough time, then obviously it'll be divided into 2 parts. So it's going to be pretty unusual for the collection video for the sake of time. So yeah, I'll try my best as much as I can. So with that said, let's dive right into with my glorious DVD collection video and occasional Blu-ray stuff here and there as well. So let's dive right in, shall we? So, to kick things off with my glorious DVD collection is that we're about to get started with shelf number 1. That's what appears to be the Disney films that I've got. Now, I've got quite a lot potentially, so I'm also able to go for those in a quick fashion way. So, originally I was expecting to try and able to describe about the films of my nostalgia memories with, but I'm sure most people already know about this ever since in our Let's Plays of many things. So, anyway, with that being said, let's get started with the first film of my DVD collection video, and that is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And this is film number 1 for its traditional Disney classics lineup. So, and this film came out in 1937, so yeah, and this particular edition of the film was obviously based off from the Diamond Edition back then in 2009. So, and for those who are the Kingdom Hearts fans out there, this is one of those films that is featured in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which appears to be Draft Woodlands as one of the worlds that's based off from this. So, I want to classify that. Alright, next we have Pinocchio, and this is based off from the 70th anniversary edition, specifically the Platinum edition, and I think this particular edition came out in 2009, at least as far as I'm aware. And this film was first released in 1940, and this is Disney's second animated classic, and, you know, this film is super iconic as it is. So, because of that though, it did somehow feature Disc 1 right here, and Disc 2 right there, featuring bonus features and all that. So, and for those who are the Kingdom Hearts fans out there, Pinocchio World will be expected to be appeared in quite a few games. One of them is actually by the forms of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance in Prankster's Paradise World, and on top of that, Monstro as a boss fight, he appeared in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix, and Monstro as a world itself will appear twice in the forms of Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. So, just want to classify that for that particular facts. So, yeah, recommend this one, especially concerning for the fact that you have a lot of nostalgia memories with this one. So, next we have Fantasia, and this particular film came out also in 1940, and it's Disney classic number 3. And this particular film lasted for about almost 2 hours, which is ridiculously long if you ask me. So because of that, and I think fundamentally speaking though, is one of those musical performance kind of films. And because of that though, I enjoy every single aspect of it. So at least as far as I can recall that for this point. And I think this is obviously based off from the 2010 re-released version of this particular issue or something. Likely because of the box art and all that stuff, which the box art itself looks really dang cool. And for those of you probably wondering, that in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance does manage to feature the world that is based off from this film. So as a result, it was, if I recall correctly, it was Sorcerer of Symmetry or something. Mind you, I might be wrong because it's been a very long while since I actually played Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, but hey, at least it's a pretty cool thing to have to my collection. So, Dumbo, and this film first came out in 1941, and if you can tell from the box art from its particular standpoint, this is obviously based off from the release of the special edition version of Dumbo, which I think came out in 2007 if I recall, which it wasn't until I somehow received it back in 2008 for what I've heard. So, and you probably already know about this, for those of you are the Kingdom Hearts fans out there, which because of that though, he becomes a summon in both games, which is Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. And also, this is the 4th Disney's animated classic, so because of that, yeah, this film came out in 1941, so yeah, all I can really say about that one. Bambi, and if I recall correctly, this film came out in 1942, and this is the 5th Disney animated feature, and because of that, this film is incredible if you ask me. Even though, mind you, this is actually the introduction to the point where we able to actually know about the forms of some upsetting scenes like Bambi's mother dies and all that stuff, so you probably already expect what this is going. So anyway, so here's disc 1 and here's disc 2 back there. And I think this particular release is actually based off from the release of 2005 because it did say 2-disc special edition, so yeah, glad to have that. Cinderella, and this film first came out in 1950, and it's the 12th Disney's animated classic as far as I can definitely recall that. And especially it's worth noting for is that this particular re-release of this DVD release is based off from 2012 release, if I recall correctly, which not only because it did somehow came with the film itself, but also features this amazing Tangled After or Ever After animated short. So because of that, yeah, that's what I was going to be expecting to be able to notice in this from the start. And for those of you who've ever played Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, that one of the worlds in particular does manage to feature the world based off from Cinderella, which appears to be known as Castle of Dreams. So, just want to classify that. Alice in Wonderland, and I believe this film first came out in 1951, at least as far as I can recall. And this particular number coding right there, it says number 13 as far as Disney Classics lineup, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, if you couldn't tell already, this particular version of this film was actually based off from, in terms of DVD releases for that department, I think, if I recall correctly, it was based off from the 2011 re-release or something. Well, I don't exactly remember this film as much, but I do know for certain, for those of you who ever played the Kingdom Hearts games, you probably already know that Kingdom Hearts 1, as well as Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, 358 over 2 days, as well as Recoded, do manage to able to feature the world based off of this for this film, which appears to be Wonderland. So, yeah, I was able to bring that fact with you, so... Peter Pan, and this film first came out in 1953, and it did say number 14 from the Disney Classics lineup, and as a result, it is an amazing movie to me. So because of that, yeah, I'm so glad to have this. And because of that, this particular DVD release is obviously based off from the 2012 re-release of this. So because of the forms of the different trailers you might bump into at one point. So, and for those of you other Kingdom Hearts fans out there, this world was featured, or at least specifically Neverland, was featured not only in Kingdom Hearts 1, but also in Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and as well as Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Now, in terms of summon, as far as I'm aware, both Tinkerbell in Journey forms within Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories, but Peter Pan most notably in Kingdom Hearts 2, that both characters will become summoned respectively when it comes to 3 games as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, want to classify that to able to noticing this. Lady and the Tramp, and I believe this film first came out in 1955, at least as far as I'm aware. So this is Disney Classics number 15, and wow, what a remarkable this film is, or what a remarkable film this is as far as I'm aware, because this is such an amazing time. Even though it does make a cameo appearances for the sake of the forms of Lady and the Tramp, if you ever experienced Traverse Town from not only in Kingdom Hearts 1, but also maybe Chain of Memories, but usually for Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, and say plus with the forms of Recoded as well, that you're able to stumble across into one of those Easter eggs you find during the course of in Traverse Town in the 3rd segment for Traverse Town. So there you might see a statue of structure for Lady and the Tramp. So just want to classify that. So, and I think for this particular release of the DVD is obviously based off from the release of 2012 re-release because of the different box art, likely also for its Diamond Edition version. So, want to classify that. Sleeping Beauty, and if I recall correctly, this film is being released in 1959, at least as far as I'm aware, and this is Disney Classic number 16. And it does manage to feature the most iconic villains of all time, which appears to be Maleficent. And suffice to say, if you can recall correctly, that this DVD release I've got is actually based off from, I would say, 2008 re-release version or something. Well, usually relatively speaking though, because I haven't exactly remembered this film back in the day. But even then, if you are the Kingdom Hearts fans out there, you probably already know that this particular film will be appeared as a world during the course of in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep called Enchanted Dominion. So yeah, that's why I classified that for able to know about the Kingdom Hearts facts. So yeah, pretty interesting to know. 101 Dalmatians, and this particular film came out in 1961, and it does feature classic number 17, or should I say Disney Classics number 17. And if I recall correctly, in terms of the box art and everything, this is based off from the re-release on 2012, if I recall correctly. So, and usually for the sake of the films of the Kingdom Hearts knowledge, that you can able to actually find 99 puppies during the forms of that particular fetch quests and stuff like that in Kingdom Hearts 1. But that's about it, basically. It only appears in one Kingdom Hearts game, which is on the first one. So that's kind of odd to know. But regardless of such, though, great movie indeed. Even in with the forms of Cruella de Vil herself. So, but even then, though, yeah, that's as far as I can usually say about that one. So. The Jungle Book, and this film came out in 1967, and if you couldn't tell from the box art alone, I think this appears to be the 40th anniversary edition, which came out in 2007 for this particular edition of the film, and this is Disney's 19th animated classic. So as a result, yeah, glad to have this, I suppose. So but even then, and originally though, for those who are the Kingdom Hearts facts out there, this was originally going to be a part of the world in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, but it was scrapped. So because of that, I've honestly have no idea why that particular world based off from this particular film has been scrapped. So apart from all that stuff though, I had a great time. Aristocats, and this is the 20th film, at least as far as I'm aware, for its traditional animated classic lineup. And this film came out in 1970, so, and it did say Disney Classics number 20, and fundamentally, for this particular DVD re-release, as far as I'm aware, I think it was based off from 2008 re-release, if I recall correctly, although I may be wrong, but even then, let me know in the comments down below. So because of that, yeah, I don't think there's any Kingdom Hearts represented on this one, sadly, although what I've noticed for my nostalgia purposes, I did have a great time, even though some people might find this to be one of the most cutest film in the world, even though I do love cats though, so even then though I might be biased when it comes to those specific nostalgia memories with, so, but that's just me. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which I think this is actually the compilation of all of these Winnie the Pooh short films, which there are Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree, which did originally came out in, I would say, in 1966, and Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, which did originally came out in 1980 or 1968, and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2 did came out in 1970, but it wasn't until in 1977 where basically the entire compilation film called The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh exists, and this is Disney Classics number 22. And relatively speaking though, that's all there is to really say about it. And of course, no matter what though, for some reason this film never includes Winnie the Pooh and A Day for Eeyore for some reason. Maybe because of budget cuts or something, but I digress. And of course you might able to recognize Winnie the Pooh. For those who are the Kingdom Hearts fans out there, you might able to expect a world called 100 Acre Wood that appears in not only in Kingdom Hearts 1, but also Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3. And even especially noticeable in one of those mini side modes called Command Board in Birth by Sleep, but that's all there is to really think about it. So yeah, I do have a lot of nostalgia memories with this one. Around the same year actually, we have The Rescuers, which also came out in 1977. So relatively speaking though, this is the forms of Disney Classic number 23, at least as far as I'm aware. So, but even then though, it does manage to feature the those two lovable mice, which appears to be both Bianca and Bernard. So yeah, that's as far as I do seem to able to notice in this from the get-go. So I think, relatively speaking, though, is that this DVD came out in 2002, which is roughly the same thing as what they did for Winnie the Pooh, or specifically the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Like, for whatever reason, they never seemed able to re-release the films they, like, I don't know, it's a bit hard to explain really, but it's nice to able to know that both of those films came out the same year, so just want to classify that for noticing this. Basil, the Great Mouse Detective, and I believe this film first came out in 1986, so, which is kind of think about it, the same year as when The Legend of Zelda first rolled around, including Metroid and Kid Icarus, and it is such a great year to be able to release multiple things at once. So, and relatively speaking, I was about the fact that this is Disney Classic number 26, so not much else to it for this point. And of course, much like the other two films I've just talked about, this particular film did came out on DVD during the course of in 2002. So, and relatively speaking, there's not much else to it. And for those of you who lived in North America, this film is only called The Great Mouse Detective, so just want to give you a heads up. The Little Mermaid, and if you can't tell from the DVD packaging, this is obviously based off from the release of the 2013 re-release of the film on the part of the Diamond Edition version. So because of that, and this film did first came out in 1989, and it's Disney Classic number 28. So, and this is the beginning of one of my favorite eras of Disney movies. That's of course the Disney Renaissance era. So because of that, yeah, I absolutely adore the Renaissance era, basically. So because of that, no questions asked. So even then, no, there's not much else you can tell. And of course, if you ever played both Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, respectively, that one of the worlds in particular called Atlantica will be featured for both of those games respectively. But in Kingdom Hearts 3, that Ariel becomes a summon in Kingdom Hearts 3. So just want to mention about this right from the start. So not much else to say about it. Oh, by the way, I also forgot to mention that technically Atlantica was also featured in Chain of Memory, so that's one thing I totally forgot to mention about that, so. The Rescuers Down Under, and I believe this film first came out in 1990, and because of that, this film was Disney Classics number 29. So, I will say, this film is very underrated in my opinion, because it has a lot of amazing set pieces for that time, and much like any other films I somehow got, this film was actually being released on DVD in 2002 as well. So because of that, nothing groundbreaking or anything, at least specifically on the back cover, but regardless of such though, I had an amazing time seeing this film again. Beauty and the Beast, and this film did first came out in 1991, which is roughly the same year as when Sonic the Hedgehog has first released. At least specifically not only released, but existence entirely. So, and this is Disney Classics number 30, and as a result, this is such a masterpiece of a film. And because of that, no wonder why that this film is getting a lot of love recently, especially concerning for the fact I will admit though, Belle as a Disney princess is without doubt my favorite Disney princess of all time, even for Disney princess standards. So yeah, I would honestly recommend this film easily. And I think for this particular box art in particular is obviously based off from when it did originally came out in 2010 as part of the Diamond Edition back then. So yeah, that's one thing I want to classify that for mentioning about that. And fundamentally, if you ever played both Kingdom Hearts 2 as well as Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, one of the worlds in particular called Beast's Castle will be featured in those two games respectively. So yeah, not much else to say about it. Aladdin, and this film first came out in 1992, which is roughly the same year as when Kirby first existed during that time, along with Wario as part of the Mario character crew. So something's worth noting for anyway. And this is Disney's 31st animated classic, so because of that, much like Beauty and the Beast, this film is a masterpiece. And because of that, I love every single aspect of it. Even though for some reason, for this particular copy I've got for the likes of Aladdin, for some reason it actually includes the lyrics book for sing-along the actual songs, potentially, which I suppose that was basically based off from the 2008 re-released version of the film or something. But regardless of such though, it is a must-have for the Disney DVD collection, and for those of you other Kingdom Hearts fans out there, you might already recognize this for the most part, especially concerning for the fact that, well, usually it appears in Kingdom Hearts 1, well, the world called Agrabah, that it appears in Kingdom Hearts 1, as well as Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, and also Recoded. So, just want to classify that for mentioning about that Kingdom Hearts facts. So, The Lion King. What a masterful film this is, especially concerning this film did originally came out in 1994, and this is Disney Classics number 32, and yeah, this film is a masterpiece, like I said before, especially concerning for the fact that this film came out around the same year as when Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came out for the Mega Drive/Sega Genesis, but also with the appearance of Knuckles the Echidna. And not only that, speaking of which, Sonic & Knuckles has also been released in 1994 as well. So, and if you can tell from the package anyway, this is obviously based off from the 2011 re-release version of the film that became part of the Diamond Edition. So, and for those of you other Kingdom Hearts fans out there, one of the worlds in particular called the Pride Lands was featured in Kingdom Hearts 2. So, yeah, pretty obvious choice, kind of think about it. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, if you're probably wondering, yeah, I skipped Pocahontas because I found Pocahontas to be an incredibly boring snooze fest to me. So I just jumped right ahead onto The Hunchback of Notre Dame, just wanted to let you guys know. And this film did first came out in 1996, and this is Disney Classics number 34. And yeah, not much else to say about it, even though this DVD came out in 2002 originally. So I just want to classify if able to mentioning about this anyway. So, and I think for those of you other Kingdom Hearts fans out there, one of the worlds in particular was featured in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. So, yeah, just only for one time. So, yeah, not much else to say about this one. Hercules first came out in 1997, and relatively speaking though, this is Disney Classic number 35. So, yeah, I have a lot of super nostalgic memories with this one. And relatively speaking though, the DVD release of this one came out in 2002 originally. So even though I did somehow receive this back in 2012. So, and relatively speaking, for those of you in the Kingdom Hearts fanboys out there, or Kingdom Hearts fans I should say, Hercules did appear a lot in the forms of those Kingdom Hearts games. Well, with only one exception in particular, that appears in every single entries in the Kingdom Hearts games, like 1, Chain of Memories, 2, 358 over 2 days, Birth by Sleep, Recoded, and as well as Kingdom Hearts 3, and even some bits of the forms of Union Cross, but there's one game exception, and that's what appears to be Dream Drop Distance. So, yeah, able to actually mention about it. And of course, James Woods as the Hades is awesome indeed. So, Mulan, and this film first came out in 1998, and I think this particular film is actually Disney Classics number 36. So, yeah, not much else to it. And I believe this particular edition I've got is actually based off from 2004 re-release on the special edition department, which not only features disc 1, but also disc 2 as well. And if you are the Kingdom Hearts fans out there, one of the worlds in particular called the Land of Dragons was featured in Kingdom Hearts 2. So yeah, I just want to classify that. Of course, we got Eddie Murphy Mushu right here. And fun fact, for the Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Mushu will be a summon between both of those games. So yeah, you probably already know about this anyway, so. Tarzan, the last of the Disney Renaissance era of films, and this film first came out in 1999, and as a result, this is Disney Classics number 37. So, also, much like Hercules, I have a lot of super nostalgia memories with this film, and fundamentally speaking though, I absolutely adore every single aspect of this film potentially. So, now in terms of the forms of appearance in Kingdom Hearts logic standpoint, it only appears in one game, which appears to be in Deep Jungle in Kingdom Hearts 1, which no wonder why there's so much criticism for believing that platforming is a bit finicky in Kingdom Hearts 1, so that's why they never brought back the actual world from Tarzan since in Kingdom Hearts 1. So yeah, I guess that was the only time, kind of think about it. The Emperor's New Groove, what a funny film indeed. And this film did first came out in 2000, and relatively speaking though, this is Disney Classics number 39, at least as far as I'm aware. And, you know, it's a hilarious movie indeed, especially with all this constant breaking fourth wall. And not only that though, I just love every single aspect about this film. So, yeah, quite pleased to have this to my DVD collection. So, yeah, not much else to say about this for the most part. Lilo and Stitch, and this film released in 2002, and this is Disney Classics number 41, and relatively speaking, I just love this film so much. Even especially noticeable, I'm glad to have this to my DVD shelving as far as I'm aware, and for those who are the Kingdom Hearts fans, you're probably able to expect that it only appears in one of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep called Deep Space, and also, for those who ever played Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 3, Stitch will become a summon in those two games respectively. So, and I believe for this particular re-release of this DVD right there is obviously based off from the special edition version, which did originally came out in 2005. So, at least as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, great film indeed. The Princess and the Frog, and this is the films of the 49th traditional animated classic film as far as I'm aware. Yeah, Disney's 49th animated classic, and I believe this film did originally came out in 2009, at least specifically in America, but for some reason the UK version has to wait until 2010. So, strange releases between the films of those two regions back to back, but sometimes it happens, like sometimes it always happens in some cases, so. But yeah, a great movie indeed. Tangled, and this film first came out in 2010 in America, but in the UK version has to wait until 2011, and this is Disney's 50th animated classic, and my goodness, this film is so amazing in every single way. And because of that, this particular film that is based off from, I believe, relatively speaking, if you ever played Kingdom Hearts 3, basically there's a world called Kingdom of Corona that's actually featured based off from Tangled. So, yeah, pretty amazing to have this, even to go alongside with Kingdom Hearts 3, so. Wreck-It Ralph. This film first came out in 2012 in America, and a year later presumably for the UK version for some reason again. And potentially speaking though, this is one of the greatest movies ever in my opinion, especially I'm a game fanatic, so it's a great way to experience this film. So because of that, glad to have this. And for those who ever played Kingdom Hearts 3, Wreck-It Ralph, or Ralph in general, will become a summon for Kingdom Hearts 3, despite the fact that there's no world based off from that sadly, but at least it did for Union Cross, so. And also features Sonic the Hedgehog and Dr. Eggman on the box art, so pretty cool movie to have. Frozen. Everyone else thinks that Frozen is very overrated, but I don't mind it. I mean, it is fine for what it is. And this film did first came out in 2013, which, geez, it's been 10 years ago. And generally speaking, this is the Disney's 52nd animated classic. Despite the naming of this is a bit confusing, despite the fact that technically Winnie the Pooh was supposed to be 51st, but for whatever reason, for DVD marketing standpoints, does not seem able to understand the situation, so. And for those of you who ever played Kingdom Hearts 3 before, basically one of the worlds that's featured on it, called Arendelle, was actually featured on it, so, yeah. Not much else explanations for the sake of time. Big Hero 6 first came out in 2014, at least specifically the American releases, but until in the UK version has to wait until 2015, so yeah, I've no idea why they keep on doing that for that particular different release schedules department, so And this is Disney Classic number 53rd, or anything else like that. Yeah, 53rd, despite the fact that it's kind of confusing with this number order situations. So, and for those who ever played Kingdom Hearts 3 before, this particular world right there, called San Tokyo, at least as far as I'm aware, was actually featured in Kingdom Hearts 3. So, and it's quite big as it is. So, yeah, pretty cool. Zootropolis, aka Zootopia, for those of you who lived in North America, and this film came out in 2016, so yeah, and this is Disney Classic number 54, despite its, again, bit confusing for this number order releases, and this is such an amazing movie, especially considering for the fact that for those who have not seen the film yet, go ahead and do it. It is seriously awesome. It's seriously an awesome movie, despite with this particular, villain plot twist just feels a bit kind of unnecessary, but regardless of such though, it is a great movie to have. Moana, and I think this came out also around the same year as when Zootropolis came out in 2016, and because of that it's on Disney Classic number 55, and it is also one of the great movies as well. And potentially speaking of, I wonder if it's possible that will be featured in the Kingdom Hearts someday, likely for the upcoming Kingdom Hearts 4 or something, but I suppose time will tell, but then again we'll have to wait at some point in the future years to come. Now we move on to direct-to-DVD sequels, or direct-to-video sequels. There's not much I've got, but at least I've got about 5 of them roughly. The Return of Jafar did originally came out in 1994, around the same year as when The Lion King first came out on the big screen, and it's not that great. Easily, not that very great. The songs are forgettable, and you probably name the rest of it though, it's not that great. Aladdin and the Kingdom of Thieves, which did originally came out in 1996, so roughly the same year as when The Hunchback of Notre Dame first came out during that time, so yeah, not much else to say. Now I believe between both this and The Return of Jafar, both of those releases on DVD are actually based off from 2004 re-releases, at least as far as I'm aware, just because The Return of Jafar actually retains the special edition DVD cover and maybe applies for this as well or something, but either way, I somehow managed able to get these for curiosity's sake. The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and this film first came out in 1998, the same year as when Mulan came out, and it's a pretty underrated sequel to me. I mean, relatively speaking, it's not great, but regardless of such though, it is such a good time for my liking, so that's the way I feel about it, and also biased I guess as well, so yeah, pretty amazed to have this. And also for this particular DVD re-release is obviously based off from 2012 re-release because of the cover art and everything, so I want to classify that. The Lion King 3, Hakuna Matata. By the way, that title alone makes no sense at all. What I like to call is The Lion King 1.5 because it plays pretty much exactly like the first film, but the main focus of this film is all about Timon and Pumbaa basically, so but regardless, this film did first came out in 2004, so relatively speaking though, it is such a hilarious movie indeed, even though the title doesn't make sense in the UK version, so but yeah, glad to have this, and much like The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride, this particular DVD box art is based off from the 2012 re-release version, so yeah, just want to clarify that. Bambi 2. This is actually a mid-quote between both the first film and that's all there is to really think about it, I guess. So, and this film first came out in 2006, so now I believe in terms of this DVD re-release is obviously based off from, I would say the 2011 re-release because it did say special edition on this disc, so yeah, not much else to say about this one. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and this film first came out in 2003, and if you couldn't tell, this is the 2-disc special edition, collector's editions, most notably, and relatively speaking though, I'm so glad to have this for quite a bit cheaper price though, and for those of you who ever played Kingdom Hearts 2 before, there's this world called Port Royal, basically though, that's basically one of the worlds that's based off from this film, so and easily is one of the best Pirates of the Caribbean films ever, so that's just me. And finally, in terms of Disney movies I've got, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. So this film first came out in 2007, and relatively speaking, much like the Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, I got the 2-disc special edition version, and because of that, I somehow managed to finally got this regardless. So, and for those who ever played Kingdom Hearts 3 before, the world called the Caribbean, that one of the worlds based off from this film right here was actually appears on it. So yeah, that's about it basically. So that was it for the Disney DVDs for now, and now we'll move on to the second shelf, which appears to be the Pixar movies and DreamWorks movies. Okay, so let's move on to shelf number 2, which actually features not only Pixar movies, but also DreamWorks movies as well. So with that said, let's get to it. So, Toy Story, good old classic Toy Story, and if I recall correctly, this film came out in 1995 and is the first ever CGI 3D animated movie. So because of that, yeah, this is an awesome classic, and as far as I'm aware, this is one of the first ever Pixar film releases. So because of that, yeah, absolutely a must-have for the Pixar film collection department. And potentially speaking though, that one of those worlds in particular will be featured in Kingdom Hearts 3 called Toy Box will be on there, which is actually a combination of both this and the sequel, which, speaking of which, not only does the first film is an instant classic, but I somehow skipped over the second Pixar movie known as A Bug's Life, but that's just because I found that film very overrated in my opinion. But regardless of such though, I somehow skipped that and jumped right into the third Pixar movie, and it's probably without doubt one of my favorite movie sequels of all time. That is Toy Story 2. Yes, this film is a masterpiece, and because of that, this is the third Pixar movie, as I mentioned this before, and this film came out in 1999. And what I can tell is that if you couldn't tell between this, alongside with Toy Story 1, if you couldn't tell, those two re-releases of those DVDs are actually based off from the 2010 special edition versions. The reason being for this is because both of those films came with a sneak peek of Toy Story 3. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm somehow mentioning in this both of those films all at once. So, relatively speaking though, both films are 10 out of 10 in my opinion. So, easily recommendable with those two films. So, but that's just me. Monsters Inc. And this film first came out in 2001. And it's the fourth Pixar movie, as far as I can definitely tell from the start. And if you couldn't tell already, if you ever played Kingdom Hearts 3 before, if you stumbled across into a world called Monstropolis, one of the worlds in particular will be featured in that game in Kingdom Hearts 3. So, something's worth noting for the sake of time, even though for some reason is that my copy of this did somehow feature the actual 4:3 aspect ratio for some reason, which I almost assumed they're going to re-release this, but for those of you who lived in the UK, we are basically stuck with the fonts of the actual 4:3 aspect ratio, which I don't mind. I think it's mainly because of the fact that they want to include bloopers or outtakes feature on this, so, but great film, regardless. Finding Nemo, and this film first came out in 2003, and relatively speaking, this is I would say it's the fifth Pixar movie to be released on. So, yeah, not much else to tell. It's an incredible movie. And if you couldn't tell, this is a 2-disc special edition, or if I like to call it, the 2-disc collector's edition as far as this is concerned, which obviously features disc 1 and disc 2, which I was expecting to try to get the 2013 re-release copy of this particular film, but I just ended up getting the Forms of 2003 DVD release instead, because I just love the actual cover art right there. So, but that's just me. But incredible movie. So, speaking of something incredible, we have The Incredibles, and much like Finding Nemo, I've got the 2-disc collector's edition, so thus once again features 2 discs in one, I suppose. And this film did first came out in 2004, and this is the 6th Pixar movie as far as I'm usually concerned with. So, and unfortunately though, we pretty much stuck with the forms of this lame silver label discs, which I really do miss the old days where they featured the actual proper box arts. So, but hey, great movie, and it's a masterpiece as well. So, Cars. Oh yes, most people found this to be one of the weakest franchises ever, but I think the first film is fine, but still. Anyway, this film first came out in 2006, and fundamentally speaking, this is I would say it's the 7th Pixar movie, at least as far as I can definitely tell from the actual release order. So, at the very least, that's all there is to really say about this. So, once again, lame silver label for that particular disc artwork, so nothing special for that point. So, yeah, that's just alright. Ratatouille. Oh yes, the glorious Pixar movie of all time. I will say this is easily my favorite ones out of the bunch, next to the other ones like Toy Story 2 and all that stuff. But usually, relatively speaking, though, Ratatouille is a great movie indeed. Anyway, this particular film first came out in 2007, and relatively speaking, though, I think I didn't actually receive the 2-disc collector's edition, sadly. I mean, I used to, but I ended up with the single-disc edition, so I'm honestly going to be alright with that. So, and I think if you ever played Kingdom Hearts 3 before, one of those minigames in particular features Remy as a master chef. So, it usually takes place in Twilight Town for the sake of the forms of that particular cooking minigame. So, yeah, I just want to classify that. WALL-E. And this film first came out in 2008, so nothing else to say about this, even though I'm kind of glad able to got the actual DVD case version of this, because to me though, this is a proper best method to able to actually store DVD shelves into your shelves, because unlike the 2-disc collector's edition version, that it just comes with this very terrible cardboard sleeve, so it can easily get damaged. So yeah, nothing else to say about this movie basically. Pretty incredible indeed. Up first came out in 2009, and relatively speaking, this is the I won't classify for saying it's the 10th Pixar movie, at least as far as I'm aware, because between both Ratatouille is basically the 8th Pixar movie, and WALL-E is basically a 9th movie for Pixar. At least for Up, for my copy anyway, does manage to receive the disc artwork, but what I've noticed is that, for whatever reason, the disc features region 2, 4, and 5 symbols. Not exactly sure why, but that's mainly because I got this film on second-hand stores, so, but at least I did manage to enjoy this, even though it was pretty sad at the beginning though, which you probably already know about this right from the start. Toy Story 3. What a great way to end things off with the Toy Story trilogy, despite out of nowhere we're about to be getting unnecessary amount of sequels. So, anyway, Toy Story 3 first came out in 2010, and what a great movie this is. Easily one of the greatest. So, even though, yeah, not much else to tell at this point. In fact, I managed to watch this countless amount of times back in 2010, when I used to anyway. So, even though, yeah, amazing way to end off the entire amazing trilogy. So, because kind of thinking about it, Toy Story is without a doubt my favorite franchises of all time, even though that 4 is a bit butchered, but we'll get to that eventually. So, Monsters University, a prequel to the Monsters Inc. movie. So because of that though, yeah, this film first came out in 2013, which I kind of believe has been 10 years ago since when this film first came out on the big screen, and I remember liking it though. It's pretty underrated though, even though despite some flaws from here and there, but regardless of such though, it is a really good prequel to me, so I honestly appreciate about that, especially seeing Mike Wazowski and James P. Sullivan again, but it does manage to take place in the actual university, so yeah, pretty cool stuff. Inside Out. What an amazing this film is, especially concerning this is easily one of my favorite movies as well. Now, I believe this film first came out in 2015, and I think this is film number 15, if I recall, for the sake of the forms of the list of Pixar movies. So, yeah, nothing else to say. It's amazing. And I'm super excited to able to see Inside Out 2 once that film comes out until next year in 2024. So I am seriously going to be excited for the second one. So just to see what happens next after the events of the first film has been ended. So yeah, easily recommendable. Although I did somehow skip over the next film, which appears to be The Good Dinosaur, because my god, that film really disappoints me, even though despite the fact that it came out the same year as when Inside Out came out for 2015. So instead, let's go into 2016 for Finding Dory, the sequel to Finding Nemo. And of course, like I mentioned this earlier, this film came out in 2016, and this is film number 17, at least as far as I'm aware. So yeah, unforgettable indeed. Especially, fun fact, that was before when My Little Pony the movie exists, specifically 2017. This film actually features a Sia song, so that's the only thing I honestly forgot to comment on. So yeah, pretty interesting kind of thing about it. Especially that again, that was before when she managed to sing Rainbow on My Little Pony the movie 2017. But in this film in particular, she sang Unforgettable on the credits theme. So kind of an interesting factor. Cars 3, it's alright. I mean, this film first came out in 2017, next to the likes of the films of the next Pixar movie, which I'll mention in a second. And potentially speaking now, like I mentioned this before, it's an alright movie. Definitely a step up from Cars 2 in my opinion, but either way though, I think this is film number, if I'm assuming correctly, this is film number 18, at least I can definitely tell from this point. So yeah, it's not much else to say about this one. And on the same year, we have Coco, also came out in 2017. Despite the UK version has to wait until 2018, so again, a bit of a weird release schedule for that particular point. So, at least if I remember correctly. So, and this is film number 19 for Pixar movie standards. So, yeah, not much else explanations for this particular film indeed. I mean, it's just incredible. Even though it gets a bit emotional at the end, which I'm not going to spoil things too much about it. But if you haven't seen this movie, I would highly recommend it. Incredibles 2, what a long-awaited sequel this is. Even though despite there's a weak villain in this, which I'm honestly a little bit too shocked about. But anyway, this film first came out in 2018, and it's been 14 years since when the first film came out during that time. And this is film number 20, so for Pixar film schedules released on. So yeah, nothing to say about this for the most part. I mean, sure, it does have some very edgy moments from time to time, like for instance, some curse words now exist, but even then, no, bit of a weird design choices. Toy Story 4. I will say is that this film is not that great anymore. I mean, it did manage to ruin my expectations for what makes the previous film so great in the first place. It's not bad or anything, it's just that it's not that very good either. So anyways, this film first came out in 2019, and this is film number 21, at least in terms of certain Pixar films selections as far as I'm aware. But then out of nowhere, it's about the fact that the fifth film is now going to be in development. So yeah, I guess it's kind of reminds me of the films of Sonic the Hedgehog 4 episodes 1 and 2, fruition I suppose, but this film's not great. I mean, I honestly do prefer the original trilogy over a bit more. And lastly, in terms of the Pixar movies, but I just want to get this out of the way for its honorable mentions, Buzz Lightyear Star Command, The Adventure Begins. I think this particular DVD release came out in 2001, at least as far as I'm aware, even though the actual, the film itself is obviously based off from the TV series, which appears to be Buzz Lightyear Star Command, and this particular film is basically like a combination of some episodes into one package, making it as an entire pilot of the TV series. So yeah, I guess that's about that. And also features Tim Allen in this film, which I always appreciated. So yeah, great way to have this, I suppose. So now let's move on to the DreamWorks movies, and to begin with, here we have, most people seem to find this to be one of the most over-exaggerated movies ever made, especially for its competition for its Bugs Life counterpart, Ants. And this film first came out in 1998, around the same year as when A Bug's Life came out, and potentially speaking though, I think this film is very underrated in my opinion, although I do have a lot of nostalgia memories with this one, so that's just me. And for some odd reason, I just got the European disc version, which it's missing the usual PG rated thing on here, but I suppose it doesn't really matter because obviously it still works just fine, even on my PlayStation 3 or even my Xbox 360 for that part. So yeah, pretty underrated in my opinion, especially I have a lot of nostalgia memories with this one. The Prince of Egypt, and fundamentally this is the second DreamWorks movie ever made, because you can definitely tell with this number coding right there, even though that Ants is one of the first DreamWorks animated movies, the first one is ever made, whilst The Prince of Egypt is the second one. So, and I believe this film first came out in 1998 as well. And keep this in mind, this release right here is based off 2018 re-release version of it, likely because it actually comes with those collectible cards featuring those DreamWorks characters, and I somehow got Z on this pack, so interesting. So yeah, nothing else to say about this for the most part, apart from the actual plain disc, which I was expecting to be able to actually have myself another copy of this, but oh well, no big deal. Chicken Run. Now, despite the fact that the UK version does manage to have a different logo on the spine of what the film was made for, but the reason why I've decided to include this as a DreamWorks movie because, well, DreamWorks logo was on it, so I thought I was able to mention about this anyway, including this little copyright thing right there. And I think technically this is the fourth DreamWorks movie that's ever made of, and it's also the first ever Aardman feature-length film, who also responds to the forms of those amazing Wallace and Gromit shorts. So as a result, yeah, usually because the sequel has already been happened on Netflix called Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, which I honestly, you could definitely recommend it. So, but even then, no, yeah, I just want to classify that, and this film came out in 2000. So, yeah, pretty amazing film to me. Shrek. The good old time classic Shrek, and because of that, this film first came out in 2001, and relatively speaking, this is one of the greatest movies in 2001, especially it's been nominated as one of the, or should I say, they managed to win the best animated feature, so, at least back in the day that is. So, yeah, super nostalgic for this one, even though I kind of prefer the second film over this, but regardless of such though, still amazing film to me, even in the actual the popular soundtrack that was on there, which is All Star by Smash. So yeah, pretty cool movie indeed. Spirits Sultalon of the Cimarron? I can't really pronounce that subtitle for this because it's been a very long while since I actually known about this, but from what I can tell, this film first came out in 2002, and yeah, that's not much else I can say about this movie, honestly. I thought it's actually pretty good, whilst unlike Spirit Untamed is pretty awful. So, good thing I did somehow pick this up just during the films within a couple of months ago. So, yeah, pretty amazing to have this. Shrek 2, much like Toy Story 2, this is easily without doubt my favorite animated sequels I've ever seen, next to Toy Story 2. And this film first came out in 2004, which, yeah, generally speaking, is a great way to able to just release the film alongside with The Incredibles. So, pretty amazing, and everything else about this film is perfect in every way. Well, I will say it's a bit better than the third one, because the third one is rubbish. And even the fourth one is okay, which I might give that a fourth film another chance, but my expectations might be a little bit lower. But hey, maybe Shrek 5 could be a little bit better, but we shall see. Madagascar, the beginning of the Madagascar trilogy of films, and this film first came out in 2005, at least as far as I'm aware, so, which that could be also applies for another film, which I'll get into that in a moment, so, yeah, not much else to say about that for this point. So, I was expecting to able to originally try to have the 2-disc collector's edition, but somehow I just got this edition for the sake of the films of my DreamWorks collection, so, anyway. Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, which also came out in 2005. And as you can tell, it does feature the 2-disc special edition version, which not only does it contain the forms of some extra features on there, likely also the 10 animated shorts with Wallace and Gromit cracking contraptions, which is a very lucky choice for my part, and also how Wallace and Gromit went to Hollywood, and all the other extras I can probably think about it. So anyways, let's have a look at the discs. Like, disc 1 features Wallace and Gromit on the second disc, so pretty cool. And there's also a pretty nice little yellow casing as well. And this is the second movie through the likes of the collaboration between DreamWorks and Aardman. So, pretty cool film though. Flushed Away first came out in 2006, and usually, despite it did say DreamWorks and Aardman, but regardless of such though, it's been made by computer-generated imagery after the events of 2005's disastrous fire moment after the release of, you know what I'm saying, with Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. So, but to me though, Flushed Away is pretty underrated in my opinion, so I honestly do able to recommend this one, even though despite the fact that the box office is nowhere near as high as the other two films. So, but I'm glad to have this number regardless, and also I love the matching case with the blue casing, so to match the actual flushing tone. Kung Fu Panda 3 film collection featuring Kung Fu Panda 1, Kung Fu Panda 2, and Kung Fu Panda 3. And because of that, I'm really looking forward to able to be seeing Kung Fu Panda 4 next year, so that will be definitely to be happening. So obviously, the first film came out during in 2008, at least as far as I will usually recall. Kung Fu Panda 2 first came out in 2011, and Kung Fu Panda 3 came out in 2016. So honestly, you should definitely recommend the Kung Fu Panda series of films. They are so good. Madagascar: Escape to Africa, or if I like to call it just Madagascar 2 to be exact, so the names are kind of hit and miss. So yeah, this film first came out in 2008, the same year as Kung Fu Panda 1 came out, and this is such a really good sequel, so at least for me anyway. And also I really love the green casing that comes with, so to match the fonts of the African setting, so pretty nice thing to have, especially considering for the fact that when I was young, I was pretty desperately want to rewatch that film again after seeing it on the big screen when it first came out. So yeah, pretty good sequel. How to Train Your Dragon 3 movie collection featuring How to Train Your Dragon 1, How to Train Your Dragon 2, and How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. So basically though, those films are a masterpiece, even the greatest highlight for DreamWorks movie standpoint. So, and obviously that How to Train Your Dragon 1 first came out in 2010, so yeah, 2010 indeed. And How to Train Your Dragon 2 first came out in 2014, and How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World first came out in 2019. So yeah, I honestly do recommend those 3 films, just like Kung Fu Panda trilogy of films. Puss in Boots 2 film collection, which features not only Puss in Boots, but also the recent film at the time, which is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So I will say that the second film is easily a lot better than the first film in my opinion, because of this unique art style, and not only that though, I honestly found the story to be a lot more deeper than the first one to me. So, but anyway, there's not much else I can say about this one here. So, the first film, Puss in Boots, first came out in 2011, and then 11 years later, for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, it came out in 2022. So, pretty crazy for that particular year gap in mind. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted. Potentially the final film of the entire trilogy of the Madagascar films, and it's definitely a good one regardless. So, and I believe this film first came out in 2012, so yeah, pretty substantial about it. And of course, just like Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, I love the actual yellow casing on this. So yeah, not much else to say about this film basically. So yeah, coolio. And finally, in terms of the DreamWorks movies I've got, Penguins of Madagascar, the flipping awesome new movie. Well, I would say it's good for the most part, even though this film first came out in 2014, which is roughly the same year as How to Train Your Dragon 2. So, yeah, I just want to classify that. So, and there's the disc right here. And fundamentally, that's all there is to really think about with the forms of my DVD collection on the second shelf. So join me next time for the second forms of my DVD collection video. Is that we're going to be focusing on certain DVDs from the third shelf and the fourth shelf. So join me until specifically on Friday. So stay tuned for that.